Hello. Oh my goodness. I start feeling like this is a family and we'll have to meet together in person sometime very soon.
So fun.
Really fun. And we are, hey Nick.
Oh, hi there. Can you give me permission to record as well? Then we can make sure we get a lovely, clean recording for everyone.
Sure. Let me see how we, oh, there's Gaia. Allowed to record local files. So Nick is joining us from the UK, where it's 1 a.m. Amazing.
Yeah.
And we do have a little bit of a spotty connection, so he's going to record as well. If it's not super clear, we'll make sure that the recording is super clear for you to come back, because you're not going to want to miss tonight.
Yeah, in for a treat.
So the big question, Nick, what are you wearing today?
What am I wearing? Well, I decided to go for full-on pajamas with tuxedo jacket and a very casually done but up bow tie. That's what I went for in the end as my, and if you wonder what on earth I'm talking about, then you need to go to the Facebook group, and there's that short little video where I'm speaking to Daniel.
I'm glad you did not choose what Runa had suggested.
Correct.
Yeah, just for, anyway,
Yeah.
it's so good to see everybody again, and really looking forward to this one. We had a great time with Elance yesterday, understanding the water. The biggest thing I took away was the analogy for water. If they are within boundaries, then they create a flow and momentum and go somewhere. And if there is no boundary, it creates destruction. And also the contract around setting boundaries, I thought was a great point. I really enjoyed it. Kind of articulating something that we may have somewhere deep down, but really when we articulate something, we are able to better apply it. So what a fun week, huh? Nurturing, started with purpose, and then what else do we have?
Purpose, boundaries, and
communication. And we have Nick today about communication, and tomorrow we have communicate like a Buddhist.
Yes, with Cynthia Kane. So we announced Cynthia Kane last night at the end of the session, but it's actually Nick Kane, so we're very grateful. And
we still got Cynthia tomorrow, right?
Yes, we get Cynthia tomorrow. And thank you all for those of you who are here live. I know it's Halloween weekend. There's lots going on. It's a busy time. Holidays are kicking in soon, so really appreciate you continuing to show up day after day. Really, thank you guys.
And
take it away, Nick.
Do you want to introduce?
Oh, I do. I just feel, we're such close, dear friends now that I assume everyone knows you like we do. But for those of you who don't know, Nick is a kindness ambassador, life architect, and creator of the Vitality Test, which we've both taken.
Yeah, which
really
is incredible.
One of his unique skills is his ability to quickly tune into what's blocking or going on within any situation and find a way forward that's fun, engaging, powerful, and highly personal to you. And I have more to say, but I think I'll let his wonderful energy and demeanor speak for itself.
Oh, thank you so much for that. That's wonderful. And thank you very much, everyone, for being here. Now,
at 1 o'clock in the morning.
At 1 o'clock in the morning. I wasn't going to mention that. At 1 o'clock in the morning. Now, one of the things I was talking about with this, my session was really looking at how do you communicate with the person that you kind of share your life with. And the idea is that they love you, they support you, and they kind of really empower you to do kind of great things. So how do you communicate that person you share your life with? And I think the first thing you have to really do is you have to identify, well, who is that person in your life? And then you can then say, okay, well, this is how I need to then communicate with them. So first of all, what I wanted to do was just help you identify that person. So I'm going to do this in 2 ways. I'm going to pick a couple of people, and I'm going to do some psychic stuff and tell them the name of the person that they need to have that relationship with. And then I'm going to do a mass download and tell everybody. So what I want you to do is, if you would like to, actually Shannon and Amir, can you put a number between 1 and 5 in the chat area? Any number between 1 and 5. And if you would like me to do a psychic thing and tell you the name of that person, put yes, please in the chat area. So what I want you to do now is to help identify that person, I want you to get a piece of paper, and I want you to just put your name at the top of the paper so I can tune in, and then put the name of the person that you have the closest relationship with underneath. And then I'm going to do psychic download. Okay, so let's just see in that chat area. Number 5. Okay, so Karen. And then just pop your hand up when you have Shannon. Shannon, I know I can't. I know you too well. I can't do that.
Last night's guide voluntold some people. So if you need to.
Okay. Right, yeah. So have we all got that? Have we got it written down? Hands up. Yeah. Okay, that's great. Karen, you were the first person that said yes, please. So should we go for you first and tell their name? Have you got it written down? Your name, then the person who got it written down. This is actually really difficult because I'm normally doing this in the day, not at night. So if I get it wrong, I do. If I get it wrong, I do apologize. The name is Karen. The name is Karen. The person you have the closest relationship with, known the longest, lived with, knows you best, is someone called Karen. And their surname begins with M. Mills. Yeah. Mills Aston. Is that right?
Yes.
Have I got it right? All right. I did, didn't I? I got it right. Yeah, I did. Okay. Anyway, Shannon, I'll do you as well, because you did say your person's name is Shannon. Did I get it right? Deepest relationship, known the longest.
How do you do this?
Am I good or am I good?
Oh.
Now, I want you to look at the piece of paper. Second name down, ignore them. First name at the top, that is the person. Okay? So, am I brilliant or am I brilliant? Right. What we're going to do now is I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to run through some content for you.
I'd hate to see your powers during the day. I mean, this nighttime stuff was pretty powerful.
Oh, yeah. Psychic ability or what? Now, actually, I'll stop sharing a second because a number of you might be thinking, oh, dear, I've come on this because what I want to do is actually learn how to communicate with the person that you'd written down bottom. I'm not interested in communicating with myself, and that might be the case. However, I have a present for you. So I have a book, The Art of Kind and Flowing Relationships, a practical guide to deal with your differences and create happy relationships at last. So Shannon and Amir, can we put this as a PDF in my thing?
Yeah.
Okay, so you'll have this book, and that gives you pages and pages of guidance to get on with all the losers in your life. Okay. But this is about you, the most important person in your life. Not you have losers in your life. Okay, let me share my screen. So a little present for you to get going. Here we go. Okay, so we're going to be looking at personal communication, but strictly speaking, we're going to be doing something called exploring something I call conscious questions. Now, conscious questions are a unique way to stop unwanted thoughts, change a feeling, clear a limiting belief or a block, resolve the past, or, just feel better about yourself and help in your relationship. So you're going to have a double whammy. this conscious questions is work based on my 40 years of clinical experience, over 50,000 one-on-one consultations. That's why I look quite old, and a lifetime of studying ancient Chinese medicine and human nature. This has been my obsession. I've never had a job in my life. All I've ever done is this work. And now this work is based around the 5 elements, the 5 energies, which is what we do at the 5 Institute. And when you take the vitality test, that's what you measure. We measure the balance of these 5 energies within you. Now, we're going to be looking at this. We're going to be looking at this conscious questions from a spiritual, from a soul perspective, as to how do you communicate with the person that is at the top of the page, you. Now, in Chinese philosophy, they recognize that we have 5 souls. And the first one, and don't worry about the fact they're related to certain energies. The first one aspect of our soul is our willpower, the part of us that drives us forward. The next bit is our imagination. The third bit is our conscious mind, our sense of us that knows who we are and is a conscious being. The 4th soul is our intellect, our ability to understand things, to be intellectually work things out. And the last bit is, it's our unconscious mind, but it's also our kind of body soul, the part of us that is kind of hidden. So it's unconscious, our kind of body soul. Now you'll notice with these 5 areas, 2 of them are written in black, and that's because they have a different style of communication. And we also know these 2 parts, the unconscious mind, body, soul, and the imagination, are actually the bits that decide how we really feel. They're far more dominant. And the communication with these 2 parts is that your unconscious mind and your imagination don't hear statements, they only hear questions, and they have to answer any question that they're given. It's their job, and they won't see or consider anything else. And they don't care how their answer makes you feel or think. And if you keep asking the same question, your imagination will start making things up. Now, let's just backtrack a little bit and go over that. So your unconscious mind and your imagination only answer questions, and they will give any answer to any, they will have to answer the question that you ask, and they don't care how it makes you feel. So if you were to go, God, why am I so stupid? Your unconscious mind, the seat of how you feel, will tell you why you're so stupid. If you keep saying it, your imagination will keep will start making things up. And then if you ask that question, God, why am I so stupid? Then your unconscious mind will create this thing, and then you'll start to think, God, I feel really bad. And you go, God, why do I feel so bad at the moment? It says, well, let me tell you why you feel so bad. And you say, God, why am I struggling so much at the moment? It says, well, let me tell you why you're struggling so much at the moment. And your imagination says, oh, let me make up something about your past or some aspect about you that shows that you're useless in some way. So we go into this situation that we can end up with a real kind of downward or upward spiral. As soon as we start feeling bad in any way, or we're struggling in any way, we try to solve that problem with a question of, God, why do I feel bad? What's wrong with me? Then it has to be answered. And then you start to feel more and more like that. Then you start to think, God, and it kind of goes down and down and down. Whereas when we're feeling good, it can go up and up and up. So, but it's when we go down, we can go down really quickly by the fact that our unconscious mind and our imagination is answering questions. Now, if you use conscious questions, which are the reverse for that, there's something that allows you to flip out of any downward spiral really quickly, or to solve problems that you have. Now, it's worth saying at this particular stage that you might be thinking, well, I'm sure my unconscious mind and my imagination hears statements. I'm sure it does. Well, there are rare exceptions in which it does hear a statement. It will hear a statement if you're physically being touched at the same time. So if someone is stroking you or tapping, which is why tapping works, and you say a statement, the body soul will kind of hear it. So you can have situations where someone says, hey, well done, that's fantastic, and they pat you on the back, and that becomes an embedded statement that goes deep into your unconscious. And your imagination, if it's given statements with imagery, might hold on to it. But basically, if it's just a straight statement, neither one of them will take any notice of it, particularly. Okay, so if we can use conscious questions to change how we feel, how do you construct a conscious question? Well, it's really, really simple. You basically say, I'm like this, A, and I want to be like this. So you might think, God, I'm really struggling at the moment, and I want to be able to cope. So you might ask a question, why can I cope with this? Or why can I handle this? Or why am I quite capable of getting through this? Now, all these slides I'm giving you with these questions and all different things, I'm going to give you a copy of all the slides. So don't worry, this is going really fast. You're going to have a copy of all the slides. So you might construct a question of why can I cope? Why can I handle this? Why am I quite capable of getting through this? Or you might say, why has my past equipped me for this moment? And your unconscious mind and your imagination will tell you why your past has equipped you for this moment, what aspect of your past is useful. Or you might ask a question, why is it okay not to know everything at this stage? Now, certain energies really struggle if they don't understand something. And this is a great statement for someone with a lot of earth energy, because it's an assumptive statement. Why is it okay not to know everything at this stage? It has an assumption at some point you will know, but at this stage, it's okay not to know. And your unconscious mind has to give you the answer to why it's okay not to know everything at this stage. And that then calms that energy down a little bit. When you construct a conscious question, you can go why, tell me why, how, what, anything that turns it into a question, it has a structure of a question is fine. Now, there are three common responses when you ask a conscious question. You've constructed this conscious question, you've used your brilliance to come up with this question, and there are three possible responses. The first one is it feels like it doesn't fit, or it clashes in some way. So if you were to ask, why am I always safe? Your unconscious and your intellect, there'll be a part of you that will try to protect you from that statement of why am I always safe? To be honest, if you keep asking that question, eventually your unconscious mind will have to answer it. But the first reaction is it creates a little bit of a clash, a little bit of a kind of an internal contradiction, some aspect that there's a little bit of a fight going on. Now, and this is like an internal contradiction is when one part of you is trying to answer the question and another part is trying to answer the question. There's a little bit of a clash between them. So that might create, you ask the question, it doesn't feel right, it clashes. And we do work at big events, and it's really interesting. You can get people to ask the question, why am I loved, or why am I lovable? And that can create an internal contradiction, a clash with them, because they don't feel loved in any way. And that question is creating a real discomfort. But then you keep asking, get them to keep asking the question. Eventually, it stops clashing. Now, a really nice example of this is a question that I used to use in presentations to show how you could have an internal contradiction, something that wouldn't sit comfortably. So the question is, why am I completely brilliant and wonderful at everything I do? And why do I never, ever make mistakes? Now, when I first started answering that question, I felt a real clash as to why I'm completely brilliant and wonderful at everything I do, and why do I never, ever make mistakes? Whereas now when I ask it that question, my unconscious immediately comes back with, because you care, because this matters to you. And that's why you're completely wonderful at everything you do. And that's why you don't make mistakes, because you care deeply about what you're doing. And does that mean I'm completely brilliant and wonderful at everything I do and never ever make mistakes? Of course not. But my unconscious mind has to answer that question. And it just comes back with, because you care. Okay, the second response you could have to a conscious question when you ask it is a neutral feeling. You just go, yeah, didn't know, nothing when I asked that question. Now that could be because the question you constructed is too complicated, or it has no meaning. Our unconscious and our imagination writes really simple questions. So if a question was too complicated or doesn't really mean anything, then it's going to go, nah, can't really do anything with that. Or it might be that you didn't give the question any great feeling, or you didn't concentrate when you asked it. And that's great, because that means we can ask thousands of casual negative questions, and our unconscious mind really doesn't take much notice of it. And then we can put in one really good conscious question. It goes, okay, let me answer that. So the more meaning and the power you have with a conscious question, the more your unconscious has to answer it, because you're really asking it. Or it might be because you had a neutral feeling, because your unconscious just kind of needs a bit of time to work that one out, to kind of find the answer. So it's a bit like saying, oh God, what was that name of that actor that was in that detective film? And then about 20 minutes later, you're in the shower, and suddenly James Garner pops into your mind, which is not pleasant when you're in the shower, but it sometimes does happen, because it's just like things take a while to kind of come up with the answer. And then the third feeling response you get is a positive or uplifting feeling, and that's when you know you've got the question right. Now, your unconscious and your imagination, depending on who we are and the nature of the question, it might come up with words as an answer to it, like me, because you care, or it might come up with feelings, or you might just go, oh God, I just feel so much calmer, or I kind of feel more peaceful now. Or you might have like, oh God, that feels better, a sense of relief, or a sense of knowing, or some level of resolution. But you want to have a words, of feelings, or a kind of a bodily response when the question works really, really well. And the deeper the question, the more that you'll get that. Now, when you ask conscious questions, you can either ask them as a single question, as a group together, or as a stack. And let me explain each group, each one. So a single conscious question might be, why is it my fundamental right to make mistakes? Okay, what I want you to do now is I want you to ask that question, close your eyes, ask this question, why is it my fundamental right to make mistakes? Why is it my fundamental right to make mistakes? And just kind of note down or jot down or put in the chat area what comes up when you ask that question, why is it my fundamental right to make mistakes? And you'll get a sense of, because your unconscious imagination has to answer the question as to why it's your fundamental right to make mistakes. So just kind of pop that in the chat area or make a note of it. Another example might be, of a single question might be, why is the past and why is now now? Now that might seem a slightly tricky question, but this is designed because our unconscious mind and our imagination have no concept of time at all. So you could be thinking yourself in the past, or you could be imagining the future, or you could be in the moment. So our unconscious imagination just wanders through time because it has no concept of time. You could be thinking about the past and be absolutely terrified, even though it's completely gone, or imagining the future and be completely terrified, even though it never actually has arrived. So this is a really good question to put you in the moment. So you ask the question, why is the past and why is now now? And it brings you into the moment. Now that won't come up with necessarily words, but it will give you a sense that you are in the present and you're not in the past, because now is now. So that's two examples of where you can have a different sort of response. Now you can also use conscious questions within our relationship. So you might be ask the question, why is it important to remember that we're both different? And that allows you to see the difference that you have between you. Or you might ask the question, how can I help this situation to help move it forward? Or this question that I just love this one. This is when you're in a situation and you're about to say something. And I'll use this one. If I were to step out of this situation, is it better to leave these words left unsaid? Is it better to leave these words left unsaid? And then your higher self, will work out whether it's actually better to leave these words unsaid. And often that negates the need to say these words. You can also use conscious questions if you want to have some guidance. So you might ask, what would the highest version of me do now? And a great combination might be to say, what would the lowest version of me do now? And you can kind of work out between, because we're imperfect beings, and you say, well, the highest version of me would do that, and then the lowest version of me would do that. Well, I think I'll come in somewhere in between because I'm not a saint, but I'm certainly not. So I'm just going. So that gives you some guidance as to what the highest version of you would do and what the lowest version of you do, and that will give you some guidance as to what to do. Then you might stack conscious questions. Now, this particular stack, I have lots and lots of them, but this particular one is called the entirely possible stack. And this is a really, really good one to use when you don't think something is possible, or there's a real clash against it, or you don't think you'll be able to do something. So you might say Jenna did that brilliant thing on digital detoxing. You think, oh, I just couldn't ever be without my phone. I couldn't ever be. So you might say, why is it entirely possible for me to go a week without my phone? Why is that entirely possible? And because your unconscious has to go with that as to why it's entirely possible, it doesn't say you can, it just says it's entirely possible. Or as with Brooks did with the sleep, why is it entirely possible for me to be able to have a really good night's sleep? And it gets over this belief that that might not be possible. And then once you get, why is it entirely possible? Just all you're saying is it's entirely possible. And then you might say, and why am I grateful for that? And how do I celebrate that? And what that then does, it moves it through time to, I'm grateful for it that was entirely possible. And then how do I celebrate it? You're like imagining the celebration of that situation. So I remember I did a lot of work, vast amount of work with end of life care or people going through chemotherapy or cancer treatments. And I used to have many, many people that were partway through their chemotherapy or through the treatment. And they would just say, Nick, I just can't do this anymore. I just cannot keep going anymore. I'm done. I don't want to die, but I've just got nothing left. So we would then do an entirely possible question. And we would often do something like, why is it entirely possible with love and support to get through this? So why is it entirely possible with love and support to get through this? And then why am I grateful for this, for that? And how do I celebrate that? And then they would imagine the part in the celebration when they were feeling better and well, and they'd got through it and they did it, and they moved themselves into the future. And so I've been to so many occasions where people were celebrating something that was entirely possible. So I love that. Why is it entirely possible with love and support for me to get through this? And why am I grateful for that? How do I celebrate that? So you can use it when there's a kind of real difficulty. If you're struggling and think, I can only think of a statement, I've got pages and pages of affirmations, and now he's telling me to do conscious questions, this is a great one. Just put, why is it important to remember that? And then you put your affirmation there. Why is it important to remember that? Here's an example of how you might use it. And this is really apt and really good for what the wonderful people that kind of guidely have been doing and guiding us through in this 21 days. Why is it important to remember that I'm not my past? And the unconscious mind, the imagination, the unconscious mind has to say, why is it important to remember that I'm not my past? And it brings you into the present time and brings you into the now, and you kind of move forward from that particular place. And a question like that, and all the conscious questions, when you get them really right, particularly the big ones that are affecting us in a deep, profound way on a soul level, will change our DNA, they'll change our energy, they'll change our essence. You get a really good question, conscious question, to deal with something in the past, or in that example of someone knowing that they can get through with love and support. There is a fundamental energetic shift and a change. So they're very, very powerful, from just using them in the moment to why can I cope, why can I get through this, to these deep fundamental soul changes. I like giving presents. So here is a present, which we'll go put in the membership area for you. This is a number of pages. I think it's about 3 pages. And it's got loads and loads of conscious questions, single conscious questions. It's broken into areas of feeling confused or not feeling loved or having to cope or recognizing your talents and value. So that sheet is for you to give you examples, lots and lots of examples of conscious questions. Next year, I've got a book coming out all about feeling good about yourself, and explores why it's virtually impossible to come out of your childhood with a good sense of self-esteem, and tells you what to do about it. It's got lots of conscious question content in there. You also have, in the book that I gave you right at the beginning, it's got a great section on conscious questions in there, plus other resources. So that's there for you. And finally, it's important to remember that conscious questions are an art. It takes a while to get good at them, but you cannot go wrong. It'll either have the effect and be helpful, or it won't. And if it doesn't, you try again, and you play with it. You play with it as an art. And I've been doing these for 40 plus years, and I'm really quick at them, and I'm really good at them, and I can do them. So Guidely have this wonderful thing, and all the guides do. They have these 15-minute taster sessions. And I can usually in 15 minutes get a really good set of conscious questions for you. So if you book one of the taster sessions and you want me to do some conscious question creation for you for a problem you're struggling with, I'll be able to do that in 15 minutes. Where I might struggle is if you have a very deep internal contradiction. And internal contradictions make us really stuck. They make us really struggle. We procrastinate, we delay things, we put things off when we've got this real two bits of us are really battling against each other. And they can be driven by our energy. Two energies are trying to do two things at the same time. It might be belief systems or past experiences don't allow you to move forward. It might be a clash with values. It might be your identity doesn't allow you to kind of move forward. It might be you just designed your life wrong. So I worked with someone last week who was pushing and pushing to do a membership site, and they couldn't work out why. They just weren't doing it. I said, well, your energy, a membership site is a living nightmare for your energy, whereas a short little course, 6 weeks, will love it. So it's about doing these internal contradictions, and they are more complicated to do. However, I have another surprise for you. Okay. If you book one of the Discovery Call one-to-ones, and then you go to the Facebook group and you find that James Bond video, and you put booked, and then you put beside it a fruit. And I have a favorite fruit. I've got one particular fruit I just love. And so if you put beside it, I've booked, and then you put a fruit, and you get the fruit right, then I'll give you an hour session. And if someone else gets the same fruit, I'll do another hour session. And if someone gets the right fruit, I'll do another hour session. I'll give you a clue. It's not apples, it's not bananas, and it's not oranges. There's a clue. Okay, that's it. So we'll put all the presents in, then we'll put all the presents in the area for you. Play around with the conscious questions. You can't go wrong. We've got lots and lots of examples. You can always come along to one of those little taster sessions, and I'll experiment with one and I'll show you how to do them. And then when you book that, have a guess of the fruit. If you get it right, you'll get an hour for free.
Wow.
So
Not apple. There you go. Oh, well over time.
That's the 21 minutes, huh?
There you go. Well, it was a Nicholas Haines 21 minutes.
We're time
In
bending.
reality.
So this was so awesome, but before we let everybody go, we were so fortunate to host with Nick and Runa. Runa is another one of our guides. I don't know, 6 months ago, January, a money box game. And I know you're doing a game, what do you call it? No,
The game of boxes.
the game of boxes.
A game of boxes, yes.
So can you tell us in one word or a quick couple of sentences what it is and when does it start? Because I think it's incredible.
It starts on Monday, 1st of November, and it's a game of imagination and play. So basically, we're in a Facebook group, and we give you money, basically imaginary money, and you have to spend the imaginary money on imaginary things. And then you have to say what you spent them on. And it's this whole thing that you kind of lose the sense of what's real and what is imagined. It starts to change your scripts, your beliefs around money. It also starts to throw up internal contradictions. You're seeing what other people does. And it's really, really fun and absolutely transformational. So that's starting on November, and we had fun. And Guidely, we did it with a whole lot of people from Guidely, wasn't it? It was brilliant.
It was
Yeah,
really fun.
and our dear friend Revital just did that in Israel as well, and was incredible.
Yes, she
What
just
is-
did.
Sorry, what is the URL for that?
Here, we just
Oh,
put it up.
perfect. You put it up.
I've just popped in. Yes, Rivital did it in Israel, and it was just mind blowing, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's
Yeah.
there for
We've
you as
gone
well.
over.
Okay, my
I know.
whip. Okay, sorry.
We have gone over today, but thank you. This was incredible. I just laughed so hard. Oh, Larry, would you like to pop in?
I'm here.
Awesome. I thought I heard you unmute. So tomorrow we have Cynthia Kane. We are really excited about her. Yeah, I
Yeah.
gave her an intro yesterday, but to everyone watching the replay, I hope you enjoyed it. We'll get all the goodies loaded up into the portal for you by the time the replay is live tomorrow. Nick, thanks for being so generous.
Thank you. Thanks
Right.
for all the gifts.
That was awesome.
Thanks for dressing up properly for
Thank
the
you,
event.
Larry.
And we'll work on the communication with both people on that. Yeah, with Karen Mills too, by the way. So we.
So
Yeah.
awesome.
Bye,
Everyone,
everybody.
unmute
Yeah,
real
unmute.
quick.
Let's say
This
good
was so
night.
fun.
Thank you. And
Thank
happy
you.
Halloween. We'll see you tomorrow.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
My pleasure.
Stay, good night.
Bye.